everyone. My name is Aditi, and I'm back with some mixed media inspiration for y'all. Today, I decided to play with the last release WOW Trio Ancient Orient Embossing Powders, and these are inspired by Gwen Lafleur, and they come with this Turkish coffee that looks something like that with the brown and a little bit of golden specks, tarnished brass, and vintage turquoise. And that's a look at that vintage turquoise. I simply love this with those golden specks on top of the turquoise. When I looked at this set, and like it says Ancient Orient, all I could think of was something vintage, something patina, and it just seemed so apt to create either a treasure box or something that I've been waiting to create for a long, long time, my own little spell book. Now, I was inspired by various spell books that my peers have created, and I decided I want to mix things up a little bit. And so, this is a blend between being a spell book, being a vintage treasured book, a book of secrets, a book of keepers, multiple things, but in short, something with that whole ancient vintage patina like vibe. So, today in this tutorial, I will be showing you how I use these embossing powders to create vintage patina looking elements like this. So, this is my test piece, and this frame for sure gives me the feels and the vibes I need for this project. And so I will be showing you how I achieved this result with this particular set. And for a really long time, I had a journal where I had painted just the cover, and it absolutely matches the colors of this project. That's a look at that. I had created the cover by, applying white gesso, adding modeling paste with the stencil, and I had used liquid acrylics in umber, Prussian blue, and burnt sienna colors to sort of create this cover with the vintage vibe. And then I felt stuck. So after I created this, I just felt so blocked and stuck that I didn't know what to do further. So I set it aside, and now today this comes handy because I think this makes for a perfect background for these gorgeous elements that I will be using on top and creating this nice little ancient book for myself. So I will be using some of the resin casted elements for this book as well as some chipboard elements. So these are chipboards from Dusty Attic, and all my resin elements are molds by Finnabair. So I have these elements ready here, and let's begin coloring them. Now for the first step, just to give them a nice base coat, I will be using the burnt sienna liquid acrylic and just brushing these elements with that brown. And what that does is it gives me a nice tone of brown as an undercoat before I begin adding the embossing powders. And now I'll just give them a quick dry using my WOW dual heat tool on the first heat setting. I will be using the WOW Mixed Media embossing brush for my first layer to apply the embossing powder, and I will be going in with Turkish coffee to begin with. now I will heat emboss them using the WOW Trio heat tool on the second heat setting. That's a look at how that first layer of the Turkish coffee looks. Now I will use my WOW embossing pad and just gentle touches over this to go in with the tarnished brass. And now finally, I'll use my embossing pad refill, or also known as the Freestyle tool, to dab a little ink so I can add touches of the vintage turquoise to bring in that patina I needed. And that's a look at the vintage elements with all that embossing powder. I'm not sure how much is seen on the camera, but delicate touches of the blue just make it look that rustic, ancient. You know, when you uncover some treasure and it's all covered with patina and rust, and you have to find your way through it. So it gives me that complete vibe for my book. And now these are going to be my base layers, and so I wanted them to be a little dark. I will place these first onto my book, and that will help me decide how to color the rest of the elements. Now first I would like to just add a little bit of a metallic shimmer to the background, and so I'm going to use this Cadence Dora metallic paint, and I will go in with my finger just as if I would use a wax. So I can use a wax here, but I feel like this metallic acrylic paint is just going to give me that desirable effect that I need for the cover. And because this book had these grains, when I go in and drop this paint with my fingers, it will just highlight those lines, and it just adds to the feel of the background. That's a tiny little detail, but you see how it just instantly brings the background to life. I love that metallic look, that finish it gives, going with that whole vibe of a treasured book. And now, just to visualize and place these elements, and that's going to be my initial composition. And I want to build layers on this in the sense of placing the other elements over this, and they will bring in the contrast and the color that I need for this composition. So what I'm going to do first is I will glue these down with heavy body gel and have those down in place, and then decide how to color the rest. For the moon, I will use just the Turkish coffee and place it and see how that looks there. That's a look at the moon with just the Turkish coffee. And what I'm going to do is just go back in and highlight again with the metallic paint gently so it stands out when I place it here. It looks a part of the composition, yet that color from the background will come back to the foreground. I want to bring back the blue from the background on the notebook, so I will first color them with Prussian blue and again highlight using the same metallic paint and then add the vintage turquoise embossing powder. And now I will just use the embossing pad and add touches of the vintage turquoise on these colored dragonflies. But that's just how they look so far. And that's a look at that beautiful texture, that color, gentle touches, almost bringing these little creatures to life. And now, using the heavy body gel, I will glue these on my book cover. I wanted the wings to dry a little upwards instead of just all of it being flat. So I've just placed two other resin casted molds here to give it support. So as this dries onto my base, the wings will just take that shape. And the resin cast elements have become flexible because I've been heat setting them, and that gives me this freedom to move them around and give that little shape there. And for some final touches, I just added a little white splatter, and that element of contrast just brings it all to life. For this project, I'm not going to add glitter or micro beads because I feel like with the embossing powders and that metallic paint, there's already enough going on here, and I just love it the way it is. So that is a close up of the gorgeous tiny details using the embossing powders mixed with layers of acrylic paint. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today and loved the outcome of my vintage ancient book. as much as I do. I look forward to inspiring you more with my further creations. And until then, take care and bye bye.